Vinsmoke Sanji debuted on OPTC Global on the 24th of December 2017. This was a much anticipated global Sugo-Fest as it featured the very first Sanji legend, but also allowed characters to pull the super evolved timeskip Luffy guaranteed during the Sugo. Luffy's super evolution provided similar effects to its predecessor, with variants regarding the class that the character would boost. Instead of buffing the free spirit class, this new Luffy would aim to power up the fighter class. And the initial debuting Sugo-Fest exclusive character introduced a new mechanic into the game, the feature known as Captain Actions. While using this character as a captain, you may swipe downwards to produce a unique special effect. This character's special would provide some slot manipulation as well as boosting his own attack, which would synergize well when used as a captain. Introducing Sanji, Prince, Kingdom of Germa. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older Sugo-Fest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. So welcome back to another episode of the Legends of OPTC series, and today we're checking out a Sugo-Fest exclusive character that was pretty big in the game's history, because the character we're talking about, obviously Legend Sanji, the Japanese side of the game celebrated the 3rd year anniversary with his release, whereas the global side of the game celebrated Sanji's release as the Christmas Sugo-Fest for 2017. And alongside that, they actually released the super evolution of timeskip Luffy on the global Sugo-Fest as well. I believe this character was actually guaranteed in the Sugo-Fest after a certain amount of multis. I can't remember, it was a really long time ago. But this character, we can briefly talk about him because of how awesome he is. And of course, recently with level limit break arriving in the game, this character is actually somewhat usable now. Now, with the original timeskip Luffy focusing on the free spirit class, the super evolution of this Luffy was focused on the fighter class instead, also changing from a quick character to a side character instead, and then also being a 2.5 captain. If you use his special ability, you'll get the 4 times captain for 3 turns instead, but also 56% damage reduction for 3 turns. In a lot of cases, you can just rely on 2 Luffy captains using their special ability to get that buffed version, and you can tank almost any hit in the game. It was incredible, just the amount of damage reduction that you were receiving, and if you have, your Forbidden Tomes leveled up to get damage reduction as well, the amount of damage reduction you were getting was pretty incredible. And of course, with his special ability doing 200 times his attack and typus damage to a single enemy, doing a crap load of damage, and then also making essentially all type slots and recovery in tandem beneficial to fighter and free spirit for 3 turns, but then he applies a really heavy debuff of Bind and Despair for 7 turns on himself. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense to have the super evolution of Rayleigh with this guy, and that was the whole focus of that particular batch of Sugo-Fest exclusives getting their super evolution. So on release, this character was really powerful, and the fact that he was on the global Sugo-Fest with Sanji, a lot of people during Christmas time were going in crazy on this Sugo-Fest to try and get some of these characters. Now, we also had the anniversary Shanks and Boa Hancock that were releasing on the Japanese side of the game. I believe these characters came a little bit later on for global when we got the Legend Lucy release, but then we have Sanji. So let's talk about Sugo-Fest exclusive Sanji. He is an int fighter powerhouse character with a captain ability that was very interesting. Just simply 1.3 times health, 2.5 times attack to all characters. That's basically his captain effect. But then we had the introduction of Captain Action. So Sanji really brought along some very unique mechanics here, where you can hold on Sanji and swipe downwards instead, and it would activate his skywalking mechanic. So for those players that are relatively new to the game or haven't had an opportunity to use this Sanji before, this is going to be a first for some of you guys to see how this actually works, where you can make Sanji skywalk into the air for 1 turn, and during the turn that you activate the skywalk, you actually can't attack with Sanji. But during that time that he is in the air, it actually prevents all debuffs from landing on himself, very similar to Legend Toki. When she selects 2 characters, those 2 characters can basically not be affected by any debuff, and that's what this Skywalk actually does. So you can't attack the turn you activate it, but the turn after, you'll be able to attack with Sanji, and it boosts his attack by a further 2.5 times. So you get a 2.5 multiplied by 2.5, which is a 6.25 times boost to himself. So that's pretty crazy. And the thing is there's no cooldown for this captain action. So you swipe down, you can't attack within that turn, but then in the following turn, you get that huge boost, and then at the end of that turn, you can activate it again, which is pretty awesome that there's no cooldown to this particular ability. And this ability was very useful for this Fujitora clash, because on the final boss stage, the enemy would swap your captains around, but if you actually jump with Sanji before reaching that final stage, you would actually completely avoid that debuff altogether. So it makes sense why they released it at that time. Now, his special ability, 14 turn cooldown, 100,000 fixed damage to all enemies, and then he changes block at tandem slots as well as adjacent slots into matching slots, and gives himself only a 2 times attack boost. So this character was relatively self-centered, but of course if you're able to jump to get this big boost and then also get this boost as well, you can see how you could get a pretty substantial amount of damage output on this guy. And even if you don't have type advantage, remember he is int, so he's always hitting neutral at the very least. Even without type advantage, he's still going to be hitting incredibly hard, because no multiplier at the time was anywhere close to this. Now remember, your friend captain, if you do run double Sanji, is not going to be a 6.25 multiplied by 6.25, because the other Sanji is still giving all characters just a base 2.5, but this is still an incredibly high amount of damage that this Sanji can potentially reach. So let's see what kind of content we're going to be playing today. We have 3 types of content. I have Clash Fujitora. We have already taken Fujitora on, I believe, in one of the previous Legends video, but I wanted to just have it on here anyway, just because it's a really good showcase piece for Sanji. But then we've also got Colosseum Sicilian and Colosseum, or Clash Barto, should I say. So I think Barto is going to be the most difficult one. I think Sicilian would be pretty fun, and Fujitora is also going to be fun, but I think Fujitora is going to be just a little bit too easy to clear. But let's go ahead and spin that wheel. We'll click it a couple times and see what we land on. Hopefully it's something fun. What's it going to be today? Ooh, it's going to be Clash Barto. This is definitely the most difficult one, so this is going to be really interesting to see how Sanji can plow his way through this fight. Alright, let's go ahead and get to team building. And here we are in game with my man Vinsmoke Sanji, Straw Hat Pirate's cook. Unlike his cold, unfeeling brothers, his kind and gentle heart made him the black sheep of the family. Now, after years of training and trials alongside his friends, he is strong enough to face even his father. So this was obviously the Zou Sanji, and a lot of people were really excited that Sanji was finally getting his first Sugo-Fest exclusive character, and now here we are in 2022, and we cannot get enough of these Sanji legends. There's just so many of them. But anyways, we have him in game right now with 100 attack and 100 HP candies with no limit break, of course. And this is the team that we have. We've got Fujitora, who's going to be a really nice unit for all boosting our powerhouse characters, considering with a friend captain, we're going to have essentially a full powerhouse team. We've also got Magellan, who's going to be kind of useful to get around one of those high defense, low HP mob stages. That's the main reason why he's here. And of course, because Sanji is powerhouse, we can use the Boa Sisters. I think they're going to be a great addition to the team for providing the matching slot and the attack boost. I believe the final stage does have an immunity buff, so we don't get the defense down effect, the defense down conditional boost, but nonetheless, I still think they're going to be pretty great additions to the team. And of course, we're using the Coded Sunny ship just in case if we need to reduce damage taken. Don't know if we're going to need it, but if we do need it, we've got it there, so just to provide a little bit of damage reduction effect. But let's just go ahead and jump into the content, because I'm pretty pumped to get into this one. So shout out to TheLordShiro for providing his V1 Sanji as a friend captain here, and actually no limit break on that one either. Now, interestingly enough, the thing about this raid boss that's kind of interesting is that you're only allowed to bring fighters, strikers and slashers. Those are the only types of units you're allowed to bring, so it's actually kind of difficult to kind of build a team around that. So luckily all the team are either slasher, fighter or striker characters, which works even better, of course. And the final boss stage is going to be a side boss, so hopefully having the type advantage with Sanji is going to put us in good stead. I believe this Clash Barto actually came out a little bit later on after Sanji's release, so he wasn't actually available at the time. So I don't know how difficult this is going to be, but hey, let's go ahead and jump into it and see what we can do. So here goes nothing. And here we go, Clash Bartolomeo Merciless, the highest difficulty, of course. What actually happens here? What's the preemptive attack? Attack up to the enemy, I assume? Yeah, okay. 10 turns of attack up. So we basically don't want to take too much damage on this stage, but we do have to get a bit of stall in, which is the bit of the problem. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, in terms of the captain action, you can tap and hold, activate the captain action to get that to activate, which is pretty cool. We're not going to activate it just yet because we want to attack with as many characters as possible, but we will be using that captain action actually a little bit later on. Before we move on to stage 3, I definitely want to use it because when you reach stage 3, the enemy is really annoying on that stage because your captain actually gets swapped. So we can avoid that, which is dope. We're going to actually take one regular hit here because we actually want to do a little bit of stall because I believe, I don't remember which stage, I'm pretty sure it is the next stage. The one that there should be a total next stage because stage 3 is mobs, stage 4 is the high defense stage. So yeah, I believe stage 2 should be a place where we get some stall off. We can tank another turn here just to get a little bit of auto healing back. And then we can move on to the next stage. So, a little bit annoying that they have that attack up on that stage. Makes it very, very annoying to get your stall. Alright, so Battle 2, we have a bunch of mobs once again, but we have 2 turtles and a lobster. So we want to take down these mob characters as soon as we can. We want to take down these female pirates and just stall on these turtles. So let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully it's not too difficult to do. Do a little bit of manual targeting. Okay, actually worked out pretty well. Actually pretty good. I actually will kill this turtle here. And then we've got these 2 guys to stall on. So that's really good. That's really, really fine. We shouldn't have any issues here now. Let's just attack with our 4 combo unit to get our special ready to go. And we do have to note here, before we move on to the next stage, we actually want to activate the captain action of Sanji so we can avoid the captain swap on stage 3. Now, another thing as well is I don't believe we're going to need... I don't believe we're going to need both Sanji specials a little bit later on. So I think we could actually use one a little bit earlier. I think that actually might be a really good way forward. Our specials are already kind of good to go. So I think at this point here, I'm going to just do some normal taps, get it a little bit lower. Yeah, not quite yet. And now we can go ahead and use our captain action. So you'll see here, we're going to swipe down. Sanji's going to go ahead and jump up in the air, and I really like that there's a little arrow just signifying that he's jumped up in the air. And you can also see that we cannot actually attack with our 2 Sanji characters. So that's kind of annoying, but of course it's the way that the character is structured. And now we'll go ahead and move on to the next stage. And stage 3 or battle 3 is where the captain swap will be activating, but as we mentioned, luckily that we've jumped, we can just completely avoid that, which is really good for us. So... at this point here, we can just go ahead and just do some attacks. I think I am going to use a Sanji special because if I remember correctly, I believe one of these mob characters actually changes our slots into block slots, and Sanji can actually switch that into matching for us. So I think that's what we might do. So let's go ahead and do some regular taps here first. Let's go and attack with you. And then we'll go ahead and take down this guy. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. Bit of damage, we can tank that, that's not too bad. And then this guy, okay, so he does give us block slots. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so let's go ahead and use the Sanji special here, which is going to change these slots into matching, and it actually does 100,000 fixed damage to the enemy, so actually we'll do a pretty substantial amount of damage to those giants at the back. Those guys are pretty annoying. And the thing is all of our specials are actually ready to go. So what we could do here is we could just move on. And the fact that, oh wow, I actually noticed our slots are actually locked for 3 turns too. That's incredible, dude. I think I actually am going to move on. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and move on. Because we've already got all our specials ready to go. Kill the giant. Yeah, this is going really well. So now, Battle 4, this is where I mentioned there is the high defense, low HP mobs. So we can go ahead and use the special ability of Magellan, which will apply like a toxic effect to the enemy. So this will basically mean that we can guarantee them to die at the end of this turn because the poison is based off of like the character's base attack. This is actually a toxic effect, so it does work a bit differently. But essentially, the fact that we've done this means that at the end of the turn, they're all just going to immediately die. But before we move on to the next turn, we do want to go ahead and jump with Sanji once again. That's one of the things with Sanji you do have to take into consideration is deciding the right opportunities to jump in the air so that you get that boosted effect in the following turn. So with all of this active, we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. They should die from poison. Beautiful, worked out perfectly. And now we can move on to the final stage, the boss battle versus Barto. So Barto, if I remember correctly, he had that really annoying HP barrier. So he has a stupid barrier where you have to pierce that first before you can do normal damage. So the thing that I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to use... Oh wow, I didn't actually realize that there was going to be a special limiter either. Okay, so we may actually have to kill him over 2 turns, which actually kind of works out okay, considering Barto himself does have a 2-turn cooldown. So, yeah, we actually just might use the Bow Assisters first, because the Bow Assisters actually provide the attack boost for 2 turns. So we'll go ahead and use Sandazonia. So Sandazonia provides a full board of dex. We get the 1.75 times attack boost, and normally would do defense reduction to the enemy, but of course he has immunity, so that doesn't work. And now we can use the Marigold Special, which will change those into matching, and give us a conditional boost, which obviously doesn't matter, and also provides damage reduction, which also doesn't matter. And I think we'll just do normal attacks, and then in the following turn, we'll use the Fujitora special. I think that should work okay. Hopefully we get some good damage output here. Actually, that's actually really good too, because we have Magellan, the fact that he is a striker character, and that is actually still going to be boosted by the Boa Sisters. That's pretty cool. I mean, unfortunately, the Magellan won't get the orb boost from Fujitora, but it actually still works out pretty good, so that's great. Alright, let's go ahead and do our first burst turn. This is not going to kill. I'm pretty sure it's not going to kill, so we're going to have to do it over 2 turns. Let's see how we do. Let's see the damage. It wasn't as much damage as I thought it was going to be. I was definitely expecting a little bit more. But at least we're going to get a full board of matching slots now. So we use Fujitora. So Fujitora is going to go ahead and shuffle our slots. Well, not shuffle our slots, but change adjacent slots into matching, which is great. And then we're going to use the special of Sanji just to make sure that the friend captain is going to get a matching slot. Now, I don't know. Is this going to kill? Oh, dude, this is going to be super close. This is going to be very, very close. I really hope that this is able to win. Alright, here we go. Full board of matching slots. We have the orb boost. We have the attack boost. I don't know, man. Hopefully we can get the dub. Who's actually going to be doing more damage? So you do 48, but you will be doing double damage. So you do around, what is that, 96? 96, yeah. Alright, here we go. Here goes nothing. Not enough damage! Not enough damage. Oh, that is frustrating, dude. Are you serious? Oh. Alright, looks like we're going back to the drawing board, and hopefully we can build something a little bit stronger. Alright, so we've made it to Battle 4 now. We're using Zio instead of the Magellan, so my whole plan is I'm just going to go all in on 1 turn rather than try and separate it over a couple of turns, and you guys will see how we're going to be doing that in just a moment. So first of all, let's just clear this stage with Sanji, and you're saying, oh, you know, we're not using his captain action, but no, we're going to be using his captain action on the first turn of Barto. So as I said, we're going to try and go all in on 1 turn, and if it doesn't work, we're going to have to go back and try something else. So hopefully this time we get a little bit closer. Zio is going to provide a chain lock for us, which I think is going to be pretty valuable, so that's going to be nice. Final boss stage, here we go. So Barto, once again, barrier, immunity, pretty typical stuff. So the plan is, we're going to jump this turn. We're going to set up our attack boost with the special ability of the Sandazonia, which is a multi-turn attack booster. So in that next turn, we're at least going to have, you know, our boost active. So that's going to be like that. We're going to use the also the Sandazonia, which is going to change these deck slots into matching, and we're going to keep them for this turn. And then we're going to go ahead and jump with our 2 Sanjis, and then in the following turn, we can use the Chain Lock and the Orb Boost from Fujitora, and hopefully that's enough damage. I have no idea if it's going to be enough damage. We do have our slots locked, so, I mean, we can do a little bit of damage here, but I don't think it's going to pierce this barrier. The barrier is just too strong. Well, it is what it is. So, now at this point, Sanji is extremely strong. Let's go ahead and use the special ability of Zio, which is going to lock our slot and give us a 2.5 times chain lock. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Fujitora for the orb boosting effect. So, if this doesn't kill, then we're going to have to go back and try something else. But I feel like we're going to get some pretty serious damage. Is it enough to kill? I don't know. I really don't know. Man, this is gonna be tough. So without further ado, here we go with that damage. Here we go. Yes, we got it! 6.3. Oh my god, I was getting so nervous. Woo-hoo. If we missed one of those perfects, especially the ones with Sanji, I don't think we were going to kill. That was just enough damage to get across the border there. Oh my god. Dude, that was definitely the strat to go. Rather than just separate damage over 2 turns, with the way that Sanji's built, it makes sense to go all in on 1 turn rather than try and spread it with a weaker captain ability. We got it. Just got it. So with all of that, that is going to wrap up yet another episode of the Legends of OPTC series, and next week we're actually heading into the 3rd anniversary of One Piece Treasure Cruise Global, as we go ahead and cover Legend Lucy, which I know is a lot of people's favorites, so we're going to be covering that next week, and that's going to be a big one for sure, so definitely stick around for next week's episode for that one. But if you guys did enjoy this video with V1 Legend Sanji, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.